Hey, how's it going, everybody? Lawler here. We've got the winter split starting this weekend. Finally, we are back after our break, and we've got some rosters to talk about today. Before I get into those rosters and the changes that are coming from them, a couple things to remind you guys of. First and foremost, as always, in the description down below, link to my roster document that I make if you want to stay up to date and see the transitions from split to split on who's going where. Easy way to do it. Also, as I mentioned, winter split starts this weekend. If you guys want to make sure you know which teams, the formats, all that kind of stuff, and all the rosters, how I think they're going to play, predictions, make sure you guys hit subscribe and turn on notifications, as I'll be talking about those on Thursday and Friday leading into the matches that start Friday. Also, if you've never seen me commentate before, I do cast for version 1. I'll be doing that on Friday, and if you want to know how that path happens, how teams got there, that video will be dropped down below in the morning of Friday, so you can make sure that when it comes to the nighttime of Friday, you know what the heck is going on. So with that said, let's get into these rosters. First things first, Rogue is officially done treading water, and yes, that is a terrible joke I've been thinking about for a long time. Officially, Rogue has announced the departure of Turinturo. They state, today Turinturo departs our starting lineup. Thank you for the hard work, memories, and hustle, Leonardo. Good luck in everything that the future brings. As of right now, we do not know future plans for Turinturo if he signed up with other players. I think there was some hints of that on the Smash GG page, but ultimately, this does come right before the day of the closed qualifiers. So for Turinturo trying to find a new team, not very easily done. I will say this decision of bringing in their new player, which we can now announce officially, is Aqua. They say that we are proud to announce Aqua as a new part of our Rocket League starting roster. If you don't know him, you will soon. Look out for us in the Winter Regional later today. And this all went down yesterday. And as I'm talking about this, you can see early iterations of how Aqua has felt with a clip where he puts a musty top right. We'll talk about more in detail about the regionals on Friday leading into the actual main event. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out on that, hit subscribe, notifications, all that kind of stuff, because we will recap the regional here on Friday. Either way, Aqua is official, and he will be joining Taroko and Gyro and the team. Potential chance to knock somebody out of the top 6. More about that again, like I said, later this week. Another young player, but in the other side of things, Kansas City Pioneers Drali no longer part of their team. He was an early pickup at the age of 13, now 14, with the potential of helping him and managing him to figure out how he wanted to, I guess, progress as a pro. They tried to give him as many opportunities as they could and as many resources as possible, but in a like 6 or 7 minute video that they put out on Twitter, Pioneers talks about a bunch of different things, and towards the end of that video they talk about Drali and how they have to part ways with him. They talk about how much they love Rocket League and all the things that are coming from it. Obviously Krazik's their new announcement, but the thing with Drali is they aren't really sure about where he's going to go or where he's even going to live. While they do like him and they do want to support him, the problem is they are unaware of if Drali's even going to be living in the United States and able to compete with the KCP roster. So because of that, they do part ways. More insight to that as well in the video. If you want to see the full clip, you can check that out in the description down below. Another team on the bubble that has been trying to push into the top 16 is RBG Esports, who just recently played in regionals. Again, recap of that on Friday. But RBG has announced their new player in Zeniel. Zeniel, who is 16, has been competing for a decent amount of time with previous history of Catastrophe, Monkey Business, and Square One. Finds himself officially on RBG. He will be joining Money and Expert for a chance to try to push into that top 16. Player and team that has been close at times, but usually when they get into the qualifier matches in the open qualifier, they're usually in the we win and we make it into top 32, or we lose and we just barely miss out. So RBG hoping Zeniel can be the one to push them over that boundary. Not an easy one to do with all these rosters. Speaking of rosters that continue to fall short, we've got Power. Different roster, same results. Again, breakdown on Friday. But Power has announced a new lineup with Forky, Noxus, and Nibra. Team that was, I think, 3 matches out of a qualifying match. So again, not top 32. Difficulty for them. Same problems continue to occur despite different roster. But again, very new roster. Hopefully they can build upon what they have and try to progress forward. Whether that'll happen or not, they've got 2 more regionals to go. Now, a team that we've been kind of curious about how they're going to continue to improve, the new addition, obviously, of Drees. Envy's been a kind of question mark about how things are going to all play out. 2 things get announced today that are really important. Number 1, FaZe Allushin. No more. It actually did happen. This one is pretty questionable for a lot of different people. It might be a massive 200 IQ play. But Allushin no longer with FaZe because he has officially decided to stop competing. After being absolutely insane at LAN, Allushin has now transitioned into being a coach for NaVi. NaVi has not had a coach since November of 2020. So the fact that they're now signing a coach is pretty incredible. So not only do they have a new player in Dries, they've got a new coach in Allushin, and all the pieces fall into place with Typical going to FaZe. So crazy things happening here, and I'm actually really interested to see on how this one plays out. I'm not entirely sure on the positive effects or negative effects that could happen, but ultimately people just falling into spots. It's pretty nuts here in North America. Jumping over to Europe, we've been wondering what's going on with the former Team Liquid roster. Obviously, Ronicky has been searching elsewhere and trying to find who he's going to pick up and who he's going to play alongside, and it looks like he is being joined by VK Salen and Dorito and reigniting the Triple Trouble name. If you guys don't remember Triple Trouble, obviously they broke into the scene at one point and made it to a world championship where they performed at top 6-ish area. This was, I think, in the same world championship that we saw NaVi, Wonder, and AJ do really well, top 4 with North America. I'm pretty sure this was season 7, if I remember correctly. But you got former Team Liquid and Ronicky, and then VK Salen coming from the former Vodafone Giants, with Dorito coming from FC Barcelona. So amalgamation of team and players coming together for a chance to do well. We still don't have their qualifiers until this weekend, and we will see more information based upon main event and all that kind of stuff the following weekend. So Europe's a week out, but they do have their qualifiers this weekend as a heads up. More Europe, we've got NaVi also making a change. They talk about a bunch of history in a blog post, which you probably see on your screen now, but the biggest thing that they're taking from this is they're bringing in longtime demoer of Virtuoso, finding a new team. It says that on October 20th, NaVi Esports Club revealed its Rocket League roster, including 3 Europeans. For 2 months, the guys competed in online tournaments, and basically 15th and a couple times where they get super close to qualifying but just miss out. They say in order to improve, they decided to replace Dead Monster with Virtuoso. Whether this will have positive results or not, we will have to wait and see. Again, all these things and first looks are going to happen next week. Last but not least, for the European region, we've got Solary making a change as well, where they're going to be bringing in Force instead to join Kasai and Parka. Force, another player who is French and very talented. Whether that will be the end-all to be-all result, we'll have to wait and see, but we know everything about French players, that they are absolutely cracked. Whether that will help Kasai and Parka or not, we'll have to see. Solary hasn't really been discussed or talked about in a while. Some similarities with this roster based upon the past with a certain player surrounded by 2 French players. Whether it will be results or not for Solary, we will have to wait and see. On the other side of things too, with Solary, they're one of those teams that, while having a lot of potential, just need to put in the results. There is, I think, a handful or two, I would say, that are all in that 12 to 16, 20 range that I think have potential to possibly break into top 16 main event. And you are going to see, I think, a rotation or a cycling through of a lot of them, unless some teams can kind of solidify a gap between. That doesn't seem to be the case in Europe. It seems to be a lot of depth and a lot of craziness. You might as well throw Solary into the mix as well, because there is a lot of potential with this team. Jumping over to OCE, we've got one change, last but not least. If you guys don't remember Zen, he was actually a KBM player that came in. I think he had his debut at WSOE, I think, in 2019, where he was alongside Torsos and Kami way back. Didn't have the best results, but this was a player that was supposed to come in and help out the former Chiefs esports roster that then got picked up by Renegades. That's a little bit confusing for history. That was 2 years ago. Since then, we haven't really seen too great of results from Zen. He's kind of bounced around a lot. Just to provide some history, these are the teams since that roster that Zen has been on. Ground Zero Gaming, Gaming Gamers, Noisy Isn't Toxic, Overt, Aurora, LG Dire Wolves, Gaming Gamers again, Mox PogChamps, Ride Gaming, most recently the Groggins, and is now on Team Bliss. So Zen has tried and played with a bunch of different rosters, some of those iterations similar to the past, but a KBM player that was supposed to be this next coming of yes, this is going to be a really good player, but didn't really do well under the pressure. Whether this will be the good result for Bliss to push them up further in the standings, we'll have to wait and see. I will say in regards to Bliss, they are sitting in the top 8. So again, we're not going to know until the main qualifier. They did have close qualifiers, and those bottom 8 teams are technically the 9 through 16 joining the top 8 just happened, and we're trying to figure out how seeding and stuff is going to go. I'll try to figure out more on that in a future video. That is going to wrap it up for the roster news. Shoutouts to Wojtek for dealing with this. My brain is completely mush, and he has probably had to make a bunch of different edits as I try to struggle through this because I'm running behind schedule because I got to see my dog. My parents adopted a puppy like a year ago, and he's lovable, and I haven't seen him in a while. So I am super behind schedule and decided to record this before the stream. So I'm going to go do that now. I appreciate you guys all taking the time to watch and get through this. Massive shoutouts to Wojtek for dealing with the nonsense of this recording because it was ugly. And rather than re-recording it all over again, his editing magic continues to prevail. So shoutouts to him because this was bad, but we're on a strict schedule. So with that said, if you guys do enjoy the content, you want to make sure you stay up to date on recaps and all that kind of stuff. On Friday, we got regionals coming up. We got roster locks and everything. We'll be grading the rosters and stuff as well. So if you guys want to make sure you don't miss out on like my tier list of where I think teams are going to end up and who's going to the winter major, make sure you guys hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.